The war on holiday turkey continues, and I just want to know, whose side are you on? Seriously, I am bored with turkey. Today we are making an herb-crusted stuffed pork tenderloin. It is an amazing holiday dish if you're just like me and you're tired of eating turkey. The cool thing about this is it's very inexpensive, very easy to make, and full of lots of fresh herbs and flavors. All your friends and family will love this. Pork, it is indeed the other white meat. They're really back there fighting. I was just playing. All right, I'm trying something new out today because when I cook, I really like to zone out, put on some music, have a few drinks. So in order to keep that joy and to provide you all with much more coherent instructions, I'm hitting this voiceover style. Starting out with this recipe, we're going to make our crust. It's very simple to throw together. I've got one slice of white bread. You can use the fancier bread if you want to, but otherwise go with some white bread. Then I'm just gonna tear up and pulse into crumbs in my food processor. I've got one shallot that I've diced up finely. I've added some olive oil, maybe about 2 tablespoons worth, some salt and pepper, and I forgot to do this at the time, but I did add it in later, 2 tablespoons of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Give that a good mixing and set it aside because now it is time to make our filling. I've got about half a pack of bacon here that I'm going to pulse a bit in the food processor to break it up first before we add the other ingredients, just giving it a head start essentially. Next, I've got a cup of fresh basil, 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme, 1 teaspoon of fresh rosemary, about 6 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, freshly grated of course, and about 3 or so cloves of garlic. And lastly, some fresh lemon zest from a whole lemon, and about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and of course, salt and pepper. Give it a good pulsing until it forms a paste. Now it's time for the pork tenderloin. I've got a center cut piece here that weighs about 3 pounds. I want one with a good fat cap on it because fat is flavor, so when you're looking, see if you can find one with a good amount of fat covering on it. First, I'm going to trim some of these ends off so the tenderloin can fit completely in my largest pan. I like to trim off the end with no fat cap first, but don't throw those pieces away that you just cut off because you can save it later to do something like, say, my lemon pepper tenderloin recipe. Then score the fat cap to create some more surface area for flavor and seasonings. Then I want to go about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom of the tenderloin, and that's where I'm going to start our cut. We need to unfold this like a map, so starting here and keeping your cut straight, take your time if you need to. It may not be perfect, but just take your time so you don't accidentally cut something you weren't intending to. Once we've cut to almost the end, we'll unfold this top portion and then start midway through the second portion, just like here, trying to keep it open. If successful, we'll have opened the pork tenderloin up nicely for our filling. If the tenderloin feels uneven, like one section is thicker than the other, which is completely normal, you can fix that by laying some plastic wrap over it and use a mallet or a pan, striking down, kind of like striking down in a way-ish, not just kind of pummeling it. It'll help flatten it out and thus making it cook a lot more evenly, also just making it a lot easier to roll up. I'm going to take about 2/3 of our filling and spread it in the tenderloin. You don't want to go too crazy, especially near the edges, because as you roll it up, you'll squeeze some of this filling out if it's too thick. Once you roll it back up with the fat side up, we'll take some butcher's twine and tie it around our pork tenderloin to hold it together. I got this at my local grocery store in the baking aisle. About 5 to 6 pieces should do, and no particular type of knot really. Once you've got this done, it's time to sear. I've got my pan over a high heat and I filled it with enough oil to cover the bottom. Once our oil is hot, we're gonna drop this bad boy in, away from us of course, so we don't splatter any of this hot oil onto ourselves. Fat side down and let it cook until all sides are nice and browned, like this. It'll take a few minutes per side, but this step is gonna give us some good texture and flavor, as well as give us a foundation for a sauce that we're gonna make to go over top of it. Once all of your sides are brown, transfer your tenderloin over to a cooking rack in a tray. I sprayed it with some cooking oil to keep the pork from sticking. We're also gonna snip off that butcher's twine as we don't need it anymore. It was really just holding it together while we seared it. Now we'll take our remaining filling and slather it on top. Getting in the crevices of the scoring we did on the fat cap, this is gonna act as a paste for our crust, which we will now add on top and pack it in nice and tight, as much of it as you can. Then it's into a 325-degree oven for about 90 minutes. I'll be checking it with a food thermometer after about an hour or so, just to make sure it's not cooking too fast and drying out. 145 is where we want to pull this thing out. So while our tenderloin is tenderloining away, let's take this amazing flavor we left at the bottom of a pan, also known as fond, F-O-N-D, and start our pan sauce. Today's pan sauce is brought to you by a lovely dry sherry wine. It definitely packs a punch when it comes to the alcohol percentage, so drink it slowly. You will absolutely be drunk and it will put you on your behind. Let's first deglaze our pan with some chicken stock over a high heat, enough chicken stock to fill the bottom of the pan, and also make sure that you scraped up the bottom of that pan to get those little bits and pieces of brown goodness into that liquid. Then we'll pour a good glug of sherry in there. No measurement here, but if I had to guess, maybe a half cup of sherry. Then I'll add some fresh thyme sprigs in here and a small squeeze of lemon juice. I want this to reduce, so I'm going to lower my heat to a simmer and let it reduce by half. It may take a little while, but we definitely want to cook off that alcohol and kind of concentrate these flavors. Once it's done reducing, I'll kill the heat, remove the thyme, and then I've got about 2 tablespoons of butter. You may need a little bit more, just depending on how much liquid that you did pour in there. And I'm going to toss it in and continuously whisk while it melts so that the sauce can come together. I ran it through the strainer to remove any leftover thyme or burnt pieces of pork, and now we have a lovely pan sauce to go along with our tenderloin. Just before 90 minutes, our pork tenderloin was done. I stuck my probe to the center and it was reading around 145, which is perfect. And folks, I can't stress how important it is to have a good food thermometer. The one from ThermoWorks is really, really nice, but just anyone would do. Remove it from the oven and allow it to rest for about 10 minutes before carving it. I like to go for thick slices as it keeps the crust intact. Top it with your sauce, maybe some white rice or mashed potatoes on the side, and there you have it. An herb crusted tenderloin stuffed with bacon goodness. Normally you'd watch me take a bite here and I'd talk about how good it is, but I think by now you all know I wouldn't cook anything I didn't enjoy. So that's it. Have a good Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming along with me on this journey. Poor Choices Kitchen. We'll be back soon.